Welcome back, class. Welcome to week 2 of remote learning in English 7th grade with me. Okay, so I want to apologize in advance. I know this week's going to look really heavy in terms of workload. I know part of that's because last week was super light with basically 2 things to do. And this week we're going to have a few more because we're kicking into how remote learning is going to really be. But I also had to add in a couple additional things that have made it look a little bit more than I prefer. So I've made some adjustments on the due dates, and we'll talk about that in a bit. In terms of week 1, I got about 50% of you guys turned in the work, which is great for week 1 of remote learning because I know this is new to everybody, and not everybody's quite gotten online yet. So I'm looking for those numbers to go up, and I'm definitely looking forward to the journal entries coming in. They were very entertaining. I enjoyed reading them. Note, as I read them, I'm actually going through and I'm highlighting and noting corrections for grammatical mistakes like missing the capitalization on I, or maybe using double negatives, those kind of things. You are graded on those. So far, I've been deducting half a point per mistake. So if you see points deducted, actually in the feedback I'll tell you why I deducted points, but chances are if it was grammar, you lost half a point per mistake. If you turn it in early, so if you turn that in on, say, Tuesday, I will correct it as soon as I can, get it back to you, and you have a chance to go back, correct those mistakes, and then resubmit. I know it's a little tricky on the resubmit. I think what you do is put it into a new document and submit that, because it won't let you edit. But you can resubmit it to still receive full credit. If you submit it after the due date, resubmit, it'll be worth half credit for the corrections. Okay, so just let you know that's what I've been doing. So please go back, read the feedback, and that way we can all learn from this. Now, this week we are going to begin reading The Outsiders. So we're going to begin reading this. Don't worry, I'll explain how you get your own copy in just a minute, but it would not be appropriate, or let's have a little more fun with this and get a little more into it. Here we go. All right, that's better. Gotta get in the spirit for The Outsiders. Book we are starting this week takes place in the 1960s, and the main character is a greaser. Greasers it was a fashion trend in the 1950s, 1960s. If you've ever seen the movie Grease, you know what's going on. In fact, if you're a Disney fan and the Teen Beach movie, I believe that's what it's called, same kind of dynamic. You have normal, mainstream styles, which was like the short hair, well kept, slacks, long skirts for the girls, by long skirts like calf length, and for greasers, they wear jeans, which I know today doesn't seem too shocking, but back then jeans were something you primarily wore just to go do some kind of manual labor that got them dirty. So like going to go work out in your yard, going to work on the car, somewhere where you really didn't mind your jeans getting dirty. So jeans was a classic thing. T-shirt, though they wore button-ups as well. They are classically known to wear leather jackets, but very frequently jean jacket also worked for the same thing. But one of the things they are most well known for, like classic feature of a greaser, is the hair. And that's where they get the name from, grease. They would use a pomade, which is like a grease. It's a hair product to put in their hair to hold it in place, and it would give a very shiny, oily look to the hair. But they would get some really intricate styles going on. The slick back, mine's very basic, but they would get some curls in there and so forth. It's really cool. In the background, you'll see assignments you're going to do later. You will see some of those looks. So have fun with that. But note that the characters in the book, or the book itself, is about a conflict between the greasers and the socias. The socias, which you'll see in there, is spelled like sock. Are like socialites, so rich kids versus poor kids is essentially what the book's going to be about, gang warfare. Okay, You should have fun with it. But before you get started on it this week, there is a background assignment. Okay, so I want you to read it's a nearpod. It's my first nearpod that I made myself. So hopefully I did it correctly. Just do that. It's got a few questions throughout it just to make sure you're paying attention as you're going through it. Do the questions, submit, and then you're good. Okay? Got some extra pictures in there. It's got some information on the author, which is actually really cool because she was close to your age when she wrote that. She was in her teens when she wrote the book. They have, so you finish that. I have assigned 3 chapters for this week, 1, 2, and 3. It is about 40 to 50 pages, depending on which if you're reading the documents or if you're reading the book. In this, it's 50 pages. In the documents, I don't think it's nearly as much. But read the pages. Enjoy. If you need to, I'm going to provide links to YouTube for the audiobook versions. There are 20,000 different versions of it, so if you don't like the voice of the gentleman that I'm using, you can pick a different voice. But or you can try to go and find the actual audiobook for it and use that. But yes, you may use the audiobook, read along with it. They take about 20 to 25 minutes per chapter, so you should be done with it within an hour and 15 minutes. Okay? Afterwards, there are questions to answer. So there are between 7 to 9 questions per chapter. Just go through, make sure you use complete sentences when answering them. Explain where it asks to explain, and pay attention when the question asks you more than one question. And I know this week is a little bit heavier on the split of what's going on. It does actually get lighter as we go, so the last 3 chapters are really small. And the question amount on that is much smaller, okay? But unfortunately, the way it splits up, it is 3 chapters per week. So, now, so you have the questions you do afterwards. When you finish them, submit them. There are 2 graphic organizers as well. Now, you won't see them on your checklist because I have decided that those are not due this week. They are going to be due next week. Okay, so you have 2 weeks to work on them. If you want to get a head start and start on this week, cool, go for it. If you've got too much on your plate this week and you want to put it off, that's fine. If you're struggling at all with them, again, office hours, come talk to me. I am more than happy to help you out, answer some of these questions. Okay? So yeah. Graphic organizer. The first one is a point of view organizer. So this book is written from a specific point of view. Is it first person, second person, third person, which has 3 options like omniscient, objective. Okay. You are going to choose just one of those. You're not going to select multiples. You'll have to see all the options there. Pick one. And once you pick that one, you are going to provide evidence. There's 3 boxes for evidence, 1, 2, and 3. Put your evidence in there. You can cut and paste it from the you can simply cut and paste from the Google Docs of the book, okay, and put that there. Just make sure you put down what page number, and not cut and paste, but copy and paste. Don't cut, copy and paste, and put the page number in the box, okay. And then conclusion. So your argument. This is blank perspective because as we see that this happens here, he says this, they do that, that tells us it's from. Okay, that's all you gotta do for the conclusion. That's the first graphic organizer. The second graphic organizer is for character traits. Characters and character traits. We're gonna look at 8 characters specifically. Okay. He describes most of them within the first few pages, or like the first 20 pages, so the information's all right there. You are going to do under each box, so the first box will be Ponyboy Curtis, and you're going to write a quick description of what you know about their physical appearance. Okay, just a little bit about their physical appearance. So they got dark hair, light hair, long hair, short hair. By the way, when they keep talking about long hair, they mean more closer to like this length, not like yay wavy hair. What color eyes do they have? You know, are they attractive, not attractive, that kind of thing. Okay? If they talk about it in the book, that's your description. The second thing you're going to be looking at is their character traits. Remember, character traits are their personality traits. It's not a visible thing, it's how they act or how they're going to behave. Okay? You'll find that again in the book. Write down 2 to 3 of them, and then in the bottom box you're going to provide evidence, where again you can go to the doc with the chapters and do a copy and paste of a section or of the evidence and put it in there. Make sure you add the page number. Now remember, when I tell you to copy and paste, I don't mean to copy and paste a whole paragraph. If you copy and paste a whole paragraph, that tells me you didn't really do the assignment. You copy and paste a specific part, which might not even be a whole sentence. It's a little part that tells us what we need to know about that person. Okay? If you think a whole paragraph is what explains it about them, then you summarize that. You could put the page number, but summarize it. Okay? So put it in your own words and the much smaller words. All right. So that being said, again, those 2 things are going to be due next week, next Sunday, not this Sunday. All right. Now, word of the week. Word of the week is vice. Why is it vice? Well, what is vice? Vice is like a bad habit. It's something that you really want to do all the time, or something you feel the need to do. That's usually a negative. It's bad for you. Okay? Now, why is that our word of the week? Well, Ponyboy and his friends tend to have a couple of vices, such as smoking cigarettes and drinking. So I wanted to address that before you get into the book, because some of the slang that they use for it, some of the words that he uses for it, they have developed a new meaning today. So they don't mean the same thing they did in his time period. So he often referred to cigarettes as weed. Okay, and that time period, weed meant cigarette. He really wants a weed. He wants a cigarette. He uses another term that also sounds like it is pot related or marijuana related, but he's referring to just getting drunk. Okay, at this time period, pot or marijuana was not in common use. So I know you're going to read the book and be like, oh, ooh, it's not what he meant. Okay, so just a heads up on that. That's how it goes. But yes, our word of the week. Vice. V-I-C-E. Okay. Now, before we continue on, pause it. Take a moment. Stand up, stretch, go get yourself something to drink, get yourself something to eat. I don't recommend Takis. Too messy with a computer around. But take a moment, pause me. When you're ready, come back, because I know it's a little bit longer of a video. Go ahead. All right. Assuming we're back, let's keep going. Last thing we're going to do is journals. Okay, not last thing, but we have journals. You are writing 2 more entries this week. Like I said, I loved the journals last week. They were great. Let's keep going with those. Remember, it's a 5-sentence minimum per entry. If you don't have at least 5 sentences, you start to lose points. Some of you wrote it should have been 5 sentences, but you didn't add any punctuation in there. You lose points. Grammar makes a difference. So if you're not capitalizing your I's, you're losing points. Okay? So let's remember, grammar makes a difference. Length, 5 sentences makes a difference. Okay? So let's work on that. Remember, so there's a fun little cheat that most every adult knows, and they use whenever they have to write a paper. Makes it look like we know how to spell and what proper grammar is. In Google Docs, you'll notice it under Tools. First thing on there, Spelling and Grammar. After you finish writing, go there, click on that. It will help you out. It'll tell you when something should have been capitalized. It will tell you when something was spelled wrong. It will not correct 100% of the mistakes, but it's going to correct a good chunk of them. a lot of you could have saved a lot of points if you had done that first. Okay, so do that. It takes 2 minutes and you get a better grade. Okay, it's an easy cheat. All right, first entry this week, your topic. You choose. What do you want to write about? Do you want to just go on a rant about something? Go on a rant. Someone in your household annoying you and you want to rant about it? Rant about it. Something on TV is bugging you? Talk about that. Or if you just didn't introduce yourself very well last time, or your situation very well, or you want to continue introducing it, do that. It's your choice for this one. Entry number 3, which our second one for this week, is going to be, you're going to be given a topic. So if you also want to set up for that with your second entry, you can do that. So your second entry this week, top entry number 3. I know it's a little confusing. You are going to be writing about something you do differently now. So something you did it this way before your isolation, and you're going to do it this way now after your isolation. That could be just say how you're going to school. You could talk about the difference of when I used to go to school like this and now I go to school like that. I used to hang out with my friends like this and now I do this. Okay? So talk about something you used to do then that you do now differently. Maybe it's how you eat. I don't eat lunch anymore. I snack between breakfast and dinner. And that's different. Okay? So talk about something you do differently. And yeah, so do that. 5 sentences. Minimum, no slang. You don't have to include any slang in there. Okay? Note the last thing you need to do is there's another video. It's on my expectations for Zoom and Google Classroom. Go ahead and watch that. Answer the few questions that are at the bottom of it. Just so I know you watched it. And submit. Same thing with this video this week. There are going to be questions for it at the bottom. Just to check that you watched it and just answer them, submit, and you're all good. Free points. Yay. Okay, that's it for now. If you have any questions, again, my office hours from 1 to 2:30, Tuesday through Friday. There's a number in Google Info if you want to call it. You will not be the first student to do so. Okay, happy to answer, though note after 11 o'clock at night, I might not be answering the phone because sometimes I'm trying to sleep. Okay. But yeah, if you got questions, phone number, email, Google Classroom, office hours. Office hours, we're going to start doing Zoom. So if you want to stop in and say hey, come in, stop and say hey too. All right? I'll see you then. Bye.